Tuesday. So if we're doing the drives of the week, Tuesday is the hardest one for me. Like if we're going to pick like what's going on during the drive. Is it, I mean, you can say it could be something good that happened. It could be a setback. To me, it's almost like 2nd and 7, went play action, first read wasn't there, check down wasn't there, back out of the backfield off the play action. Quarterback just scrambles for like 8.
For 8?
For 8.
So you picked up the first down. How much of it has to do with what type of Monday you had?
I think a lot of it. I mean, the first play. I mean, again, are you on schedule or not? Are you playing ahead of the chains? Or are you having a, there's, like they say, there's not a lot of play calls for 2nd 15.
There's not.
3rd and 12. I'm just trying to get in 2nd and 6. That's how I live my life. If I can just get to 2nd and 6, a lot of the playbooks open, a lot of opportunities, a lot of memories made. It's kind of the way I feel about it.
What do you do live your life like that?
Already scored.
You keep saying that.
We're a high octane offense.
Score every play?
Yeah.
So you're on the bench.
Single play.
Welcome to Baton Rouge.
No.
LSU.
No.
Jane Daniels.
Even they're not scoring every play.
I mean, they're pretty damn close.
Nice mustache.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think.
Did you shave it off already?
No, baby.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, come on.
Kind of disappearing into the night. The Rangers take Game 7 from the Astros to advance to the World Series. Sorry, Mattress Mac. The Vikings hold on to beat the 49ers, and we're going to preview some of the top matchups and best early bets in Week 9 of college football. I'm Jay Crane. Get your Tuesday started right. At least we're turning up here at Crane & Company. Now, there aren't many shortcuts in life, and just like in Mario Kart, when you find them, you better take advantage. And this weekend, circumstances have seemed to have given second-year Florida head coach Billy Napier a chance at a little bit of a shortcut to getting Florida back where they rightfully belong, and that's at the top of the college football conversation. Now, many, including myself, were preaching long-term patience to Florida fans, really all the way through the Utah and then Kentucky game this year, when it comes to what Napier will eventually create. But few had the Gators sitting at 5-2 with a thriving Graham Mertz at quarterback as we head into the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. In fact, Mertz has been so good, he ranks top 5 in the SEC in passing yardage, touchdown passes, and QBR, and he also leads the league in completion percentage. He's top 3 nationally. Not bad for a guy that transferred from Wisconsin and doesn't really athletically fit what Napier's done at the quarterback position in the past. To be honest, it almost feels like Graham Mertz is what people thought Peyton Thorne was going to be at Auburn, but they Freaky Friday switched. Great. The question now becomes, can Napier take a humongous jump early in his tenure by beating a now Brock Bauerless Georgia team that is still developing? Although they're winning, that's a great problem to have. After all, Florida's got nothing to lose. Nobody really expects them to win this game. They can play free, let it all hang out. And thanks to Graham Mertz, even if the run game isn't hitting, they've still shown the ability to move the ball, and that defense is pretty sporty as well. Now, will they beat Georgia? Probably not. But it seems these Gators thrive in the probably not situations. And boy, what a shortcut it would be for Chill Bill in year 2. Turn that seat from warm to freezing in the best way. No, that's not a Hugh Freeze joke. I'm going to bring in David Cohn, former Michigan quarterback, Connor Stallions supporter.
Stand with Stallions.
Stand with Stallions. Ride with Stallions. That's copyrighted, Crane & Company.
Guy loves
my brother,
football.
The mustached. Didn't hit the first touchdown score last night, but got that big Jawan Jennings catch during the drive. Blank.
Rack them and stack them.
Also, as he's known, Blanye East.
Hey.
David, this Georgia-Florida game, a little bit different scenario than what we thought we'd be walking into at the beginning of the year.
True.
Carson Beck's been good. He's gotten a lot of time from the offensive line, but now Brock Bowers is out. Georgia does seem more mortal than they have been the past couple of years, which isn't saying that much. It's how good they were the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Not that Florida has an advantage from a personnel standpoint, but watching them operate, and it's not just offensively, right? We've seen the run game come and go. We saw them struggle at Utah. We saw them struggle at Kentucky running the ball. But then, they've been Jekyll and Hyde at home and away, but then they go to South Carolina last week. Graham Mertz goes absolutely nuts. They find a way to win that game. defense is averaging giving up less than 150 yards less than they were last year.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this Florida team. It's a 14.5 spread. I mean, I like Florida to cover this. I think this could be a football game.
14.5 points. They won't have the benefit of getting them in the swamp where they're so tough to beat, but still get them in the state of Florida. And I'm glad you talked about Graham Mertz. Man, you and I looked at each other during that Utah game and said, man, this kid's playing pretty good.
Just it looked better than what it looked
better.
at
He was on
Wisconsin.
schedule. Now, of course, they lost that game, but they didn't lose it because of him. And then now a couple weeks in, we're like, yeah, okay, well, it makes sense. Like, he's actually playing good football. And, another thing is, on the other side of that, Carson Beck, too.
Yep.
I mean, Carson Beck's been playing good football. Across the board offensively, just listen to this from the quarterback perspective. Carson Beck, 2,100 yards passing, 12 TDs, 4 picks. Graham Mertz, 1,800 yards passing, 12 TDs, 2 picks. Receiving, Brock Bowers, 41 receptions, 567 in the yards, 4 touchdowns. Ricky Pearsall, 44 receptions, 619 yards, 3 touchdowns. And then Georgia's leading rusher, Edwards, 80 carries on the season, 460 yards, 6 TDs. And then Johnson, Florida's leading rusher, 85 carries, 438 yards, 4 touchdowns. A lot of similarities. What's not the same, though, is on the defensive side of the ball and the records, right? I mean, Florida already coming into this game with 2 losses. If Florida's going to win this game, I see either Graham Mertz needs to sort of freak out Kyle Trask style from 2020, which is I think the last time Florida's won this game in the last 6 tries, something like that. Over 400 yards passing. Ricky Pearsall has 150 yards receiving, something like that. Or maybe you just turn Carson Beck over 3 times because one of those guys we just talked about on the offensive side is not there, right?
Yeah.
Brock Bowers is not going to suit up. Maybe you turn him over 3 times. Maybe you find some success if you're Florida with this nice pin and pull trap game that you've had some success with throughout the year, like against Tennessee. Or maybe it's just going to take both of those things.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Brock Bowers not being there. And you look at the yards, you say 567. Man, that's impressive. Almost 14 yards a catch. Man, that's impressive. He leads them in touchdown receptions, obviously, with 4. But he's got 41 overall receptions, right? The next closest person has 10 less. That's Dominic Lovett, who they need to come on with 31. The person who's second in yardage to him, Marcus Rosemy-Jack Saints, got 333 yards, 230 yards less. And that security blanket and that comfortability on third down, that's why you see that reception number so high. You take that away. We haven't seen Carson Beck have that game where he's really, really struggled yet. Typically, it's coming down the pipe, but I guess when you get protected as well as he does, it's almost hard to struggle. Not that Carson isn't playing well. There's been games he's moved around in the pocket. I think he's kind of a sneaky guy for Heisman. But, Blaine, it's kind of a weird situation with Florida when you look at this offensively going against Georgia and how you want to run the ball. Florida's had a lot more success running the ball north and south, right, as opposed to laterally. We saw him try and do it laterally against Utah. It didn't work. I don't think you're going to be able to line up just like Kentucky tried to and run it into the teeth of this Georgia defense. I mean, are you going to have to blend the lateral runs with the north and south runs? Are you giving them a lot of eye candy? Because while Florida has had success when the run game hasn't been great, I think you have to find some sort of balance because even though Pearsall's nice, I don't want to go and attack Malachi Starks and Bullard and all of them because that's where Georgia's the strongest.
You're going to have to pick somewhere to attack. And if it's me, I think you're right. One, you need a lot of eye candy in this game. That's including motion, a lot of bunch sets. I lean on my best player on this offense on Florida, and that's Ricky Pearsall. He's an NFL receiver. I think Eugene Wilson's a close second. I think the kid's going to be an absolute stud, and you have 2 NFL guys running around. And Graham's growing in front of our eyes. But the more I look at this game, the less I like Florida. I think Georgia's one of the teams this year, and we've seen it throughout the year, that they play up to competition in big games.
True.
They show up in big games. And that's what I think Georgia's going to do. Even when you lose Brock Bowers, you look behind him, and I know they're not the same guys, and I know they're not close, but your tight end room's pretty damn deep. I think Carson Beck has still not had his best game yet, even in the Kentucky game. So I think Georgia's going to come out and handle business in this game, but I think Florida is going to look okay. I think Florida's actually getting in to the meat of their schedule where you're really about to find out these Florida Gators. I mean, you got Georgia, Missouri, Arkansas. Arkansas is probably the only game you're going to be favored in down the stretch. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for Florida. I don't think the running game is going to be there at all. You're not going to be able to move north and south against this Georgia defense, especially this front seven. So it's me. I'm working backwards. I'm taking shots early. I want my best Ricky Pearsall on their best. I believe in my guy more. I believe in their guy. So we'll see how Georgia handles in the back end when it comes to bracketing or double teaming. If they do double team Ricky, you can go to Eugene Wilson, but I just don't think Florida has enough to take down this Georgia team.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying about the big games. It's not like Georgia's played the toughest schedule in the world. You can only play you're supposed to play. But a lot of times when they've stepped up in those big games, let's go back to the South Carolina game, right, which was a big game at the time. You're down 14-3 at half. What do you do in the second half? You get Brock Bowers more involved. You get Carson Beck more comfortable. Go to the Auburn game. You're down in the second half. We saw Brock Bowers really take over in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter. What happens if you're now in a game where you are down and Brock Bowers is not there? I think that's the biggest unknown. And you know, people say, oh, Jake, when you talk about Brock Bowers' look at Ricky Pearsall. 44 receptions. Next closest guy is Eugene Wilson with 26. 619 yards. Second closest guy is Eugene Wilson with 251. Boardingham, the tight end, actually leads them in touchdown receptions with 4. But Ricky Pearsall is playing in this game. Like, so even if you say, all right, we're going to shade Ricky Pearsall, we're going to try and do as much as we can to take him out, which Georgia's good enough to take him out of the game. Well, he's still out there, so you still got to put 2 people to him, right? There's not that Brock Bowers, oh, we're going to try and take him out. He's going to be a decoy. We're going to put 2 guys on him, but he's still out there running around. So I think there is a lot of unknown questions, but the main thing, and this goes back, and I know that the talent gap is different, right? Obviously, than Notre Dame and USC, but there's something to be said with playing with freedom. Florida's got absolutely nothing to lose.
True.
They could go out and lose by 3 touchdowns, and Florida fans will still be like, listen, we're 5-3. That's a tough loss. Obviously, we want to win. But Georgia can go out and win by 3 points, and people say, oh, Georgia didn't play good. Georgia didn't look good, even though they still won. Florida has the type dudes. They don't have enough of them right now, and you can see what Billy's doing in recruiting, where if they catch a couple breaks, maybe you fake a punt, right? Maybe you run a couple trick plays. Maybe you do something out of the box that steals a possession or keeps you in the game. I just feel like if we're sitting here looking at this game in the fourth quarter and it's 17-14 or it's somewhere around there and you're one or a couple, it seems like Florida, the longer this goes on, the more they start to believe. And you can see it in games. And it's not just some of the surprises that we've seen. It was South Carolina on the road. There's just something about, and the way Billy Napier is, you know, he's never too up. He's never too down. He's kind of like this. Feels like all the pressure's on Georgia. They are the better team. They should win. But there's something to be said with that, Blaine. You know how
I think pressure makes diamonds, and I think Georgia's used to pressure.
Either makes diamonds or bust pipes.
I think every team walks into this game like, well, even if we lose, we're supposed to lose, and we'll believe we have hope. Next thing you know, it's halfway through the third quarter and getting your ass beat. So, I mean, Kirby gets up for these games.
That could happen.
Kirby will have this defense ready in this football game. If you think you're going to see the same Georgia team you saw against Vanderbilt, I promise you, buddy, you're not. It's going to be, it's going to be a walk in the park for Georgia, in my opinion.
In the park.
I think this Florida team's maybe a little bit better in Kentucky, maybe a little bit better.
And they got blown out by Kentucky.
I think if they played now, it'd be a little bit different. I think it'd be a lot closer.
They were on the road.
Yeah, that's true. Neutral field maybe, but I feel like this Georgia team, and you go back to that Kentucky game, did Brock Bowers have 7 receptions for 130 yards? For sure.
Yeah.
But look at Rosemary Jack Saint, 5 catches, 100 yards. Rod Thomas, 6 catches, 70 yards. Lovett, 4 catches, 30 yards. Oscar Delp. And you got to admit, one guy who never gets mentioned who's getting healthy.
Ladd McConkey.
It's Ladd McConkey.
Well, he's the guy who's
and there's not a guy on Florida who can cover Ladd McConkey. Carson Beck will sit back there.
He is getting healthy. But on the Brock Bowers point, we're not just talking about the best tight end in college football. He has an argument to make that he's the best player in college football. And
For sure.
These next 4 weeks, when you talk about Georgia's schedule, Florida, Missouri, Ole Miss, and Tennessee, I think we're going to find out, has Georgia, with this high-level recruiting, built the sort of depth that has just set them apart so much that they can go without really the best player in college football? Or is it going to play, like Jake said, without Brock Bowers there late in that game against Auburn, that's a completely different game down the stretch, I believe. And another thing on tight ends, it's not every football team has a tight end as their primary pass-catching option instead of a wide receiver. But ironically enough, the best team in the NFL, the Chiefs, it is with Travis Kelce. For a lot of Tom Brady's years with Rob Gronkowski, we saw that. And the number 1 team in college football the last couple of years has been with Brock Bowers. Now, they've recruited at a high level at the tight end position. I think they've gotten the best tight end in the class like the last 4 years in a row.
Yeah, it's a good situation.
How does that play into this as well?
And none of those guys are going to be as good as Brock Bowers, probably. They could be great players, end up being NFL players. It's going to be tough to be as good as Brock. We want to know what you think. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button. We have live calls opening at 7:15 a.m. Central. That's when the line opens, 8:15 a.m. Eastern. We do want to let you guys know it's one of the greatest times in sports right now. We've got the World Series getting ready to kick off. We know one team that's in. That's the Rangers. The Phillies and Diamondbacks still have to play one more. We've got the NBA right around the corner, college basketball right around the corner, the NFL, college football, NHL. It's everything. And look, with DraftKings, we all know it's more fun when you're in on the action, right? And with basketball right around the corner, football's still in full swing. You need to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and use our code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, because new customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on NFL football. Got a Thursday game coming up as well. That's only on DraftKings Sportsbook with our code BOOSTER, BOOSTER. The crown is yours. Guys, we're going to get into some great DraftKings lines that we have early this week.
Yes.
We love putting out the early sharps. But again, DraftKings, when you talk about versatility, when you talk about availability, when you talk about, hey, right when you win, instantly getting that money put into your account or getting a check sent or getting it sent into PayPal, DraftKings makes it really, really easy. If you're in a state where you can legally gamble, you need to have this app. You need to download the Sportsbook app. If you're not in a state where you can legally gamble on sports, you probably need to write somebody, in office, especially if you have a lottery, because that makes absolutely no sense. The first person that can come in here and explain to me how you can have a lottery and that's okay, but not be able to gamble on sports because that's not okay, I would love to have that conversation because then I could find at least one person that I know was wrong about something. But make sure you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. And we are about to put our link right now into the chat, the live chat for merch. So make sure you grab some of that. We're going to put it in the description too. So if you're catching this not live, you can go there. We're almost sold out of stuff. We got some great new designs. Just had our new, I don't want to give it away yet, but a new piece coming
soon.
Yeah, that's, again, don't want to get too far ahead of the horse. But make sure you grab some of the stuff we have in there. I know we're out of stock of some sizes. We love you guys for that. We're going to restock it. We're almost to that point. We really appreciate you guys. All right, let's get to the Booster Club.
Let's go to Lincoln Metz with a $5 donation. Lincoln, thank you, sir. Says, will Napier or Riley have a longer tenure at their school? Napier is inconsistent. Lincoln is the worst Lincoln compared to me. Thought. Hashtag J. Crew Blaine. Swag it out.
First off, here, if we're talking about longest tenure, are we saying that they're going to get fired? Because I think Lincoln Riley is going to end up being the next coach of the Cowboys. I'll continue to say. People can laugh, whatever. Or in the NFL in general. I don't think USC is going to fire Lincoln Riley because he's going to do what Lincoln Riley does. All right? Win probably double-digit games most years, be super average on defense, have a Heisman winner. Wouldn't be shocked if Malik Murphy ends up leaving Texas to go out to USC or they have some incredible, prospect come there. It seems like Lincoln has one every year. And they're just going to be mediocre on defense, and they're never going to win a championship, and he'll probably end up going off to the NFL. So if we're talking about being fired, I don't know how we can call Billy Napier inconsistent yet. I feel like that's a little bit of a stretch. He's in year 2. They're 5-2. I don't think people realize the absolute unmitigated disaster that Florida was from a culture standpoint. And that's a buzzword. People throw out the word culture all the time, don't really understand it. It's so much harder to build a great culture than it is to totally ruin it. And with Dan Mullen there, they had some really good players on the service level. Didn't have a ton of depth, right? Florida recruits itself. But culturally, it was just a bad situation. Do you remember that? I think people forget. We go like a couple years, right? And maybe, that new study came out that said Viagra reduces Alzheimer's. Maybe some people need to start taking some more Viagra because I remember when Dan Mullen and Todd Grantham, it was like a Spanish soap opera every week on the sidelines. And we were playing a game of Grantham has you hostage by the contract. Florida's defense is awful. Mullen and it was just an absolute disaster. There was no accountability in that locker room. And that's what takes the longest to build, even at a place like Florida. But Billy, right now, and Blaine made a great point, there's a long way to go. They could end up going 5-7. I mean, 6-6, I don't think it's a bad year with what they had coming in with what we thought. And also, I don't know how you watch Graham Mertz at Wisconsin. We're like, yep, that guy's really going to figure it out. There's no video evidence of that at all. I think it's just a guess and end up working out. Sometimes it happens. But I don't think we can say Billy's inconsistent yet. So if we're going to talk about who's at their school longer, not getting fired, right? I legitimately think that Billy will be at Florida longer than Lincoln will be at USC because I think Lincoln ends up going to the NFL.
I don't think it didn't help the optics of Billy Napier having Anthony Richardson last year and him being the number 4 overall pick and them having a losing record. Even though I think we all agree here that that was more about the optics of the situation. Like Anthony Richardson, if the rest of the team isn't performing, you can't just have one guy and just gonna take you. Even Cam Newton Auburn years, like there were other really good pieces on that Auburn team.
Yeah, well, to me, I think Cam Newton honestly is the closest thing we've ever seen to one guy. Like, I think he pulled more weight than anybody I've ever seen.
That was the closest.
That's the closest.
You still had Nick Fairley on that team.
That's it.
For sure. But we look at Tebow and you look at that roster, you're like, good God. I mean, it's an NFL team. It's half NFL, half longest yard, but I mean, they still have some really, really good players. When I look at Anthony Richardson's still a work in progress. To me, Anthony Richardson was drafted off potential.
Yeah.
And he wasn't, Cam Newton was close to a finished product by the time he got through with Auburn. He needed to go. He needed to go number 1. I think Anthony Richardson, it's almost, and they're different because I think Spencer Rattler is a finished product. But that Florida team kind of reminds me a little bit of the South Carolina team, as it was legitimately a one-man band. Right? Now, they did have Shorter. They had some Copeland, I believe, was on that team too with Anthony Richardson. They had a couple guys that can make plays. But I think Anthony Richardson was taken so high because of what people thought he was going to be, not compared to what he was. I think if he'd have had another year with Billy, if he was on this team, I think you'd see an Anthony Richardson that was a better player, because we have to remember, Billy Napier runs a pistol, zone read, quarterback being able to move around style offense. Like, one of the biggest knocks I had wasn't just that I turn on Graham Mertz and he looks like the guy you go in with the Y, who does a really good job of passing and boxes out. Like, that's what it looked like to me. And you're putting him in an offense that you're expecting the quarterback to be able to be athletic and extend the play and do things in the run game and hold the backside defensive end and stretch teams laterally and create and improvise. And that's just not who Graham Mertz was. Then all of a sudden you look and he's Ryan Stiles. Who'd have known? You got him out of the funny factory. You put him on Whose Line Is It Anyway? He's got Drew Carey pissing his pants behind the desk. So I think it's one of the biggest surprises in college football. So I know we stuck on that one a while, but it's a good question.
Let's go to Chris Walton. Says Roderick Robertson and Kendall Milton are coming back this week. Running back depth to help the Georgia Bulldogs.
Well, I think Georgia's running game's been good. I don't think it's been elite. I think this offensive line, as crazy as it sounds, is better at pass protecting than they are run blocking.
Amarius Mims coming back this week as well.
Amarius is huge. I mean, he's going to be a guy. He's going to be a top guy taking the draft. I'm not worried about Georgia up front being able to run the ball consistently. Yeah, Kendall Milton, that'll obviously help. You get more depth. You get fresher guys in there. But I'm just so interested to see this offense operate without Brock Bowers, especially on third down. Because it's one thing to say, all right, we're just going to let Brock get his, right? We're just going to let Brock get his. You have two ways to look at it. We let Brock get his. Don't let anybody else, go off, right? And say, we'll ride or die with that. Or you say, we're going to put 2 people on Brock Bowers. If he goes to the bathroom, we're going to meet him up there. If he goes to the library, I'll go to the Dewey Decimal System and help him out, all right? Which I think's library. Yes, that's right.
Yes.
But now, you can't even use him as a decoy. Like, you might as well put him on crutches out there and just let him go around. At least I'll have to cover him. But, you can't even use him as a decoy now. So now if I'm looking, I'm like, who's going to prove it to me? Ladd's still coming off an injury. So do I sit here and say, all right, I'm going to take Ladd away, and we're going to see if Dominic Lovett can come on, or Ra Thomas can come on, or one of these young tight ends. Really, to me, the guy that scares me, if we're going to take McConkey out and Bowers out, it's Rosamie Jack Saint. That's the one that scares me the most. That's the one who's proven the most to me when it matters. Go back to that Auburn game, had a couple big catches. I don't know, man. It just smells funny this weekend. I'm not saying Florida's going to win or I'm picking that, but that 14.5 number, I don't know how you don't take Florida plus 14.5. Either that or the under, because both teams defensively can stop the run. That new clock rule, I don't know. I'm really leaning Florida plus the 14.5. Right,
let's go to CB Dog 4. Oscar Delp and Lawson Lucky will be good replacements for Brock Bowers at tight end. Wide receivers about to have more passes sent their way. Just got to catch it and do your job.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're not acting like Brock Bowers is just replaceable now.
He's not.
Yeah, they're going to go in and play the position. And Lucky, I heard Lucky is a nasty. I think he's from Norcross, something like that. Nasty. Now, like you said, they've sounded like the best tight end in the globe the past 4 years.
I think that's literally they've gotten the top tight end.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
5 years in a row.
It's just that production and that clutchness. That's the thing, the clutchability, whatever you want to call, whatever that noun is, that is just so hard to replace. Because it's not It's not, oh, maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. No, you born with that one, buddy. Like you're born with that one. So it's fascinating to me. But speaking about fascinating, do you want to get in this Monday Night Football, game from last night? We're going to get to our best bets here in a minute. We're going to get to our phone calls as well, and talk a little Oregon, Utah. Really excited for that game. But David, good game last night.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good game last night. Better than the clunkers we've gotten on Monday Night
Yeah,
Football.
it's about time. Jeez.
Brock Purdy was unbeaten in the regular season, and then all of a sudden these last 2 weeks took 2 L's in a row, both on the road, though, and last night was to the Vikings. Kirk Cousins in prime time. They find a way to beat the 49ers 22-17. What are your guys' thoughts?
Can I just say it? I don't want any more Kirk Cousins slander on the show. I'm
Tell
sick
him.
of it. I'm sick of it. Now, all people do is trash Kirk Cousins. Oh, he shops at TJ Maxx. Oh, he's mid.
Oh, he went to
he's
Michigan
not
State.
good. The Vikings are 3-4, and they're lucky they have Kirk Cousins because they could be 0-7. Not saying that Kirk Cousins is perfect, but let's just read the stat line last night. Just ho-hum, 35 of 45, 378 yards, 2 touchdowns to an interception on like the second pass on a slant. He tried to force it in there, and Ward made a nice play on it. But let's look at the stat line of the year. Let's go through it.
Without Justin Jefferson.
Without Justin, let's see. Tampa Bay, 33 of 44, 344 yards, 2 touchdowns. At the Eagles, 31 of 44, 364 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Versus the Chargers, 32 of 50, 367 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. His worst game at the Panthers in a win, 12 of 19. Didn't throw it a lot. 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Chiefs, 29 of 47, 284, 2 touchdowns, no picks. The Bears in a stinky one, 21 to 31, 1 touchdown, no picks. And last night, at some point, we better start putting some respect on Kirk Cousins' name. I'll take Kirk Cousins over Dak Prescott any day of the week. I've said it for 3 years, and I'll keep saying it. Give Kirk Cousins that offensive line. Give Kirk Cousins those weapons that the Cowboys have had and that run game consistently, and I guarantee you he does more than Dak's done in the playoffs, and everybody makes fun of Kirk Cousins. I'm just sick. Shun the non-believers. Kirk out here unathletic as hell, making it work in the NFL. This is like watching a 6'1" guy in the NBA ball out. You just don't see it a lot. But when you do, you better put some respect on his name.
Yeah, I wouldn't say the problem this year for the Vikings is Kirk Cousins. I don't think it is. I just think the problem's always been you get in the playoffs, Kirk Cousins turns into Kirk Cousins. You don't win shit. So, I mean, at the end of the day, this is what's going to come down to. You want to keep Kirk Cousins or Justin Jefferson? I'll wait.
I don't know. I don't know if Justin's going to look at Kirk and be like, hey, man,
Justin Jefferson came out and said he's not signing a max deal if Kirk Cousins is a Vikings
He
quarterback.
came out and said that specifically to the media that he would not
He's
sign
not signing a max deal
quarterback.
unless there's a new quarterback.
Well, then he must be blind because I'm looking at the numbers. 193 at 280 pass attempts, over 2,000 yards, averaging almost 7.5 yards per pass, 16 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Buddy, it could be worse.
Yeah.
It could be a lot worse.
Yeah.
Could be a lot worse. Maybe you should show up in the playoffs.
Jordan Addison had a nice game last night.
Yeah, better watch out.
123, 2 touchdowns. The question
Yeah,
on
Justin Jefferson, watch out for Jordan Addison, buddy.
Dude, Jordan Addison's been balling.
Top two
Jordan
receiver.
Addison's been balling.
Top 2 receiver in the NFL.
I'm not saying he's
Probably
going to
best.
replace him, but let's not act like Jordan Addison's out here playing bad.
But you said he should be worried about him.
I'm talking about there's another cat out there balling. It lessens your value a little bit. You know it helps the most? Kirk Cousins. Because now I got 2 of them. And I got ugly TJ Hawkinson out there running around. And nothing to do but catch passes and hang out with George
The problem is
Kittle
the
in
Vikings
the
are worried
offseason.
about one thing and one thing only, is Justin Jefferson staying on their football team. That's the only
I'm
thing the
not
Vikings
saying
are
that's
worried
not the case. I'm not saying that's not the case.
What's this mean for the 49ers, though? I mean, a couple of weeks ago, clearly the best team in football, right? Back-to-back losses, but they're on the road. We've talked a lot about, man, you know how it happens in the sophomore slump, man. People figure out young quarterbacks, especially these defensive coordinators. They get paid a lot of money to be able to dial in. We saw it this past weekend with Bill Belichick in a divisional game against the Bills. You don't think Bill Belichick has a notebook this thick on what Josh Allen is good at and what he's not good at? It's not surprising. So have people started to figure out Brock Purdy a little bit with the 49ers offense, or is this just 2 close road losses and you just move on throughout the rest of the season, they'll be fine?
Well, I think part of it's a little bit good for him. I think at the end of the day, it could help him. You know, you hate to lose. You don't want to take moral victories out of a loss, but I think it kind of ground them a little bit. The Niners have won. Obviously, they've been great on offense because they have a ton of weapons, right? But this hadn't been a team that's going out there scoring 45 points a game. How do they win? They don't protect Brock Purdy, but they run the ball. They throw the check down a lot. They'll take their shots. Deebo Samuel was out. McCaffrey was a little bit beat up, but he played almost every snap last night. But defensively, the Niners just haven't looked the same.
Zero
right?
sacks last night. That's the thing that surprised me most.
And they lost to the Browns, and that was a defensive fest. But, you know, the Browns did do some things offensively with a bad offense, right? With Deshaun Watson, who didn't play in the game. You had P.J. Walker come in there and do his thing. But last night, the Vikings, I know they only scored 22 points, but it felt like they scored 40. I mean, they were able to run the ball decently enough, but Kirk Cousins was shredding them through the air. But I want to give some credit to Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings head coach. Thank you for kicking it. There was multiple times. Nobody ever just kicks it anymore.
They don't.
There was multiple times last night where if I hear another announcer say that analytics says
Joe
go
Buck
for it
last
on
night.
4th and goal from the 4, I just want to, it just drives me nuts. Take the points. You want to know why? And I'm not saying you never take a risk, but you don't Dan Lanning this thing. It's like, go for it. 4th and what? Doesn't matter, right? Field goal wins the game? No, we want the touchdown. You kick those field goals, and guess what? You even missed one at the end, right? But since you took the one earlier, you're up 5 points instead of 2 points, which changes the total complexion of how that last drive went with the 49ers and how they handled things. So I want to say thank you to Kevin O'Connell for just kicking it, for the love of God.
Any other thoughts from you?
I mean, the 49ers, and I've always said this about the 49ers, their weakest things, their secondary. And I think they didn't get to Kirk last night, which is surprising. But I think Kirk did a great job of getting the ball out.
Moving in the pocket,
especially quickly, present in the pocket was nice. And Kirk made some great checks of his own on big third downs. A couple screens when they're coming all-out blitz. Even the Jordan Addison play, which was a bad ball when Jordan Addison made a great play. It was an all-out blitz that Kirk checked to. You're missing Trent Williams if you're the 49ers, the best tackle in football. Obviously, Deebo wasn't out there. But, man, you can see why, like, Brock Purdy's not going to be able to carry this team. That's not Brock's job. That's not who he is. You need everybody to show up to the war if you're 49ers. And once they get fully healthy, I still think they're going to be one of the toughest teams to beat. Someone has to show up other than Bosa up front. Bosa was getting running back, tight end, chipped the entire game. So whether that's Armstead, Farrell, your other pieces, they have to start showing up.
I wonder, too, though, and I don't want to make too much of this. We're seeing what the Texans are doing with DeMeco Ryans as the head coach. And we kind of see a softness a little bit developing with the 49ers. And I hate to use that term because they're not soft. I'm watching Fred Warner and Greenlaw and these guys run around and just smack folks. And I know Bosa's not soft, but it's not the dominating presence of when you're watching the Niners. And I know it's easy to say that now they've lost a couple games, but pretty much all season, you just don't feel that overwhelming sense of defensively they're about to do something. Like it is going to be impossible for this offense to move the ball. I just wonder if there's a mental element of the DeMeco Ryans departure that is kind of affecting them, because you look at Houston, look at the confidence that the Texans are playing with. C.J. Stroud's acting like he's been in the league for 8 years. It's just a mindset. It's like a mental thing. Because football, it's like Yogi Berra said it about baseball. 90% of baseball is 100% mental.
Yeah, you might be right. There's a reason he's a head coach now in the NFL. And when I hear the phrase, Brock Purdy is not built to carry this team, I agree with you. But my mind immediately starts going to January. It starts going to the playoffs. And yes, they're going to be a very tough out, the 49ers are. But you start talking about maybe having to go on the road to Philly possibly, or even hosting Philly at home in an NFC championship, or even before you get there. Face a solid wild card team like let's say the Seahawks with Pete Carroll, who can coach up a team and beat you. You just never know what can happen late in the season. But either way, you want me to get to Major League Baseball playoffs?
Yeah, let's hit that real quick.
Rangers, Game 7, man. The road team won every one of these games. Blowout last night, 11-4 over the Astros, keeps them from making, 4 straight World Series, 3 straight World Series?
Match or smack. You hate to see it. You hate to see it. And look,
how much did he put on the game?
Oh, God.
What was his bet?
Millions,
bud. A couple bets out there. He had $3 million on one.
Did he?
$500K on the other. God, there's just something so sweet to watching the Astros lose. It just feels great. I'm so happy this morning.
The difference last night is I felt like, because Scherzer wasn't great, wasn't awful, But I thought you saw a difference. And Dusty Baker's had an incredible career, won his World Series, feels like he's coached for 300 years. He has been fired a decent amount of times. But I'm just sitting here wondering, when you had to have it, Bruce Bochy won a lot of games, brings in Jordan Montgomery.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bring in one of my best. I know he's not a reliever, he's a starter. And then when the Astros had to have it, JP France isn't a bad player, but you would think if I'm going down, if anybody's available, even to throw to a batter, I'm bringing that guy in. I mean, Jordan Montgomery last night came in and handled business. They handled business all the way through it, but I thought managerially, the Rangers handled the situation better. But I'll go back to what I said. When I found out early in the playoffs that the Rangers are listening to Creed in the locker room.
It's tough to beat.
I've never trusted a team more in my life. I don't know if I've ever trusted anything more in my life than the Rangers to come through. When you got Scott Stapp and the boys, will he just hurt? I mean, that's just...
Like, if you're
winning.
If you're listening to Creed and you're getting ass slaps and nut taps out there, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I am
if
too.
You're another team, I'm afraid.
I'm worried.
You know what they do? They believe.
Yeah, I don't care how many World Series you've won together.
Doesn't matter.
The funniest thing I saw yesterday was somebody put a clip of the Spider-Man part with the Green Goblin when the mask is on the dumpsters. And he's like, you want to come. It's like the Astros in the dugouts looking at the trash cans, like make noises. Like how bad they
I have a song for this postseason.
There it is. Scott Stapp.
Sports show.
Big
I wonder if we can
guy.
get Creed to come do like a live.
We should. We should actually
Live
play
set on
with
the
Creed
show.
live on the set.
You see that first home run Corey Seager hit, man?
Dude.
Just pured it. And for Garcia, I have some stats here for what Garcia
Went
did.
insane.
Garcia finished the ALCS with 15 RBIs, a record for any postseason series. He became the second player in Major League history with 4 hits and 2 home runs in a winner-take-all game, joining Carlos Beltran from the 2004 NLDS, and the first player to ever drive in at least 1 run in 6 consecutive games in a postseason series.
Some guys just... That game steps up 15 RBIs in a 7-game series. You don't have to be a mathematician to realize you're basically averaging 2 ribbies a game. You're good for over 2 runs a game.
The Rangers lost 102 games 2 seasons ago.
Just shows you. Look, the Orioles just won the American. They're the #1 seed in the American League. Anything can happen.
Game 7 tonight too.
Definitely. Diamondbacks, Phillies.
Diamondbacks, Phillies.
Go back
In Philly.
It's just hard not to root for the D-backs.
Come on,
Philly.
man.
It's just hard not to. I don't like the Phillies. Okay,
Everybody hates the Phillies.
Nobody likes the Phillies, but the Phillies.
Are you pulling for the Phillies because they beat the Braves, or are you pulling against them because they beat the Braves?
Here's the real question: is anybody going to ladder strikeouts with Brandon Platt on the mound? Fat on the mound again?
You laddering tonight over there?
Well, if you're gonna ladder, you got to ladder both.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's just Ranger Suarez on the other side.
I mean, look, I don't think it's ever a bad decision to ladder. Because, the odds were kind of goofy yesterday. I didn't like it. I have to look at the odds and see what it looks like today.
I mean, it hit the other day. Ranger Suarez just sneaky. Just sneaky. He's like that, this almost the Kirk Cousins of the Phillies. Not super athletic, doesn't throw at 99, but he just threads it in there. Just good decision.
I like the D-backs. I like the D-backs in this game.
You like the D-backs?
Let's go, baby.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I want to embrace the chaos. I'm glad they got it to Game 7. Speaking of embracing chaos, if you're struggling to find energy in the morning, right? You need that caffeine fix, but you want great taste. Black Rifle Coffee, there is no more chaos. Welcome home. Come on home. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you, nobody else. All right? We know your coffee right now is super mid. We're trying to help you out. All right? And with Black Rifle Coffee, not only do they have the ready-to-drink cans for people with no time to brew coffee, but their coffee subscription gives you a chance to purchase limited edition flavors. They give you nothing but the best. Got a Coffee of the Month Club, Booster Club, Coffee of the Month Club. You're one of the most popular kids in town now. Congratulations. And Black Rifle Coffee just launched their Halloween Pumpkin Spice Collection featuring the Headless Horseman's Roast and the ready-to-drink Pumpkin Spice Espresso. Yeah, that's right. It's back, baby. Blaine, you got Gunship over there?
Yep.
Blackbeard's Delight. Become a pirate. You got what do you got over there?
Cousin Ichabod.
That's
Headless
great,
Horseman's Roast.
There it is. There it
Pumpkin
is.
Spice.
So stop running out of coffee and sign up for a Coffee Club subscription. Grow up and figure it out.
Can we get some cans in here?
Yeah, we need some cans. I want one of those pumpkin spice
I have to watch
espressos.
Truvel walk in every morning with a nice Black Rifle can, and we can't get any in here. Come on, guys, with the Daily Wire. Spend a little money.
So go to blackriflecoffee.com and use promo code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, at checkout for 10% off your order. That's blackriflecoffee.com. Use promo code BOOSTER for 10% off. Black Rifle Coffee, America's coffee. Become a better version of yourself that's also better. All right, we got the lines are opening here in about 6 minutes. I know some of y'all probably called in already. David, let's get into these best bets before we get into these calls.
What do y'all like? What do you like, boys?
It's an interesting week. I already told you I would really like Florida plus 14.5. I don't know which one I like better, though. Do I like Florida plus 14.5 or the under at 49? Because this really honestly feels like to me a 23-13 game. Like, I don't feel like this is a high-scoring game. So, can Florida, can they backdoor a cover? You know, if you're down 21, even if you play bad, backdooring at the end, Graham Mertz finds Pearsall. Another one that I'm kind of keeping my eye on, Miami, all right? Now, I hate 18.5. Hate that number.
Virginia this week?
I hate that number. Yeah, but see, Virginia coming off a huge win.
Big win.
Off a big win on the road at North Carolina, Miami. Coming off, you got off the schneid after a couple tough weeks. You beat Clemson at home with your backup quarterback. I need to see Tyler Van Dyke's health. That's what's going to make the decision. But if this thing goes down to 17.5, I don't think you'd be crazy to buy that thing down to 16.5 and go ahead and ride the Thunder with Miami.
Is it in Miami?
It's in Miami.
It's in Miami.
It's on the road.
They're coming off a big win, too.
They are, but I think it's a little bit different. Like, I think Virginia's still going to be basking in it. Miami's still trying to stay in the fight. Now that North Carolina's lost a game, Louisville's lost a game, hey, there's a little bit of hope there. But is there a better bet on the board than Auburn, Mississippi State under 43.5?
No, because that's what I put down, too.
Okay.
Auburn, Mississippi State under 43.5. It's just like, lock it in. Lock it in. There's two other unders I like, too. The Minnesota, Michigan State under is at 40.
Yeah.
It's only 3 points less than what we were talking about. And then South Carolina, Texas A&M under 53.5. I like that too.
Yeah, because here's what worries me about. Is this one of those games where Spencer Rattler freaks out and like just plays nuts and they somehow score 24 points, but A&M just runs through their defense and A&M wins like 41-24, and then I puke in my hands and get upset?
Ew.
Maybe, but I'm thinking more like 20 set or like 31
to 10,
13 or something like that.
I don't know. That feels right. There's always that game. Like, how much does South Carolina have left in the tank, though? How much do they got left in the tank? After last week, Spencer, he's team guy, hanging in there. I'm not, saying he should Emmanuel Acho this thing and just, hey, we're not going to win it, so let's not play again. I just wonder at what point is it like, all right, 2-5, going on the road at A&M, goes downhill a little bit early. But then I always just go back to Shane Beamer. There's always that game.
There's always that game.
Remember last year, like, oh, they're dead. They're dead. Then they play Tennessee. Schwack.
I mean, our director Jonesy thinks that Spencer Rattler should just skip the rest of the season. So if he does that,
you mean Emmanuel Acho in the booth?
Yeah, Emmanuel Jonesy Acho.
Jonesy Acho in there. No, but Blaine, 43.5 to under for Auburn, Mississippi State, right?
Not a bad bet. I mean,
Right?
look, you tell me I can get Mississippi State plus 7.5.
It's plus 6.5 right now.
If you get it at 7.5, easiest bet in the world. Auburn's not good enough to beat a team by more than a touchdown. Do you just caution the under though? Like I like the under. I like the under. I mean, anytime you're betting a Mississippi State Auburn game, I mean, you're basically watching Iowa play Minnesota. That's what you're doing. I mean, Auburn's just a version of Iowa this year, but worse.
On offense.
On offense, they're
Probably.
100%. So I think Texas, BYU plus 17.5 with Malik Murphy at quarterback. You can't throw it.
Yeah.
I like BYU to cover that spread.
I'll put that one down
I can get Oregon minus 6.5 against Utah. Oregon's not the same team as USC, buddy.
Yeah, I think this may be and I don't want to get too far into it. We're going to preview it, but this may be what I thought was going to happen to Utah last week. I thought, and look, USC did score 32 points, which I thought would be enough as anemic as Utah's offense is, as bad as USC's defense is. But, guys, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Ohio State coming off a big win at home against Penn State, going on the road to Wisconsin, over under 43.5. Wisconsin offensively going up against this. I mean, Tanner Mordecai's hand's broken.
Hands broken. Wisconsin's not good.
Rolling. Ohio State's going to roll these kids.
So wait, like roll them as in you take the over? Like it's going to be that bad?
What's the over?
43.5.
Yes.
You take the over.
Yes.
Would you be surprised if it was a 37-7 game?
I think Luke Fickell is still pissed about the Ohio State. I think if they are going to stand up on defense and be able to at least limit Ohio State, I think I would err on the side of that. This feels like a 30, a 31-10 or a 27-7 game. I just don't think the over hits.
I would lean more to just the spread.
14.5 Ohio
than the
State.
over.
Okay.
I can play Ohio State up to -20 in this game.
You said that bad?
Wisconsin's not a good football team. I don't know what Cinderella story what everyone thinks going to happen. Ohio State's good. Even coming off a physical game against Penn State, I can see that. But Ibuka didn't play a lot in that game.
Didn't play at all.
Yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr. is still, in my opinion, one of the two best players in college football. Kyle McCord starting to come along. The defense starting to believe. Wisconsin's not going to have some secret weapon they're going to bring out to even keep this game close. Luke Fickell's probably pissed, but you still got the same players, buddy. So give me Ohio State. Give me Ohio State big.
Yeah,
I like that.
How do I not take James Madison against
Wagon.
Like,
Where-
look,
are they at home?
here's all right. They got Old Dominion's coming off a nice win against App State at home. I want to give a shout out there to Old Dominion. James Madison, 18-point favorite at home. Over/under is 14.5.
What's the spread?
18. It's Old Dominion.
Yeah.
James Madison is an app. So look, here's I wonder if the TTP's out yet. Let me see if I can see it. No, it's not out yet. I don't think you'd be crazy waiting for the TTP to see what it is, because I mean you're looking at the over/under is 48.5. It's 18 points. So you're thinking that's they end up winning what, like 32 to 16, 34 to 14, somewhere around there. I think James Madison may run the checkup on offense on Old
You think
Dominion.
so?
Old Dominion defensively, I just don't believe.
What about App State -17 hosting Southern Miss?
Southern Miss is bad, man.
Not good.
App State's
Not-
not great this season.
They're
Southern Miss
not,
is
but like
bad.
if South Alabama can hammer Southern Miss like that at home,
Yeah.
App State coming off a loss at Old Dominion, a team that I think they were better than. There's a lot of pride, obviously, in Boone, North Carolina. Played at that place before. It is an elevation too. But Southern Miss, right, I think the Will Hall era is over. When you buy billboards in Mobile talking trash and then get absolutely run out of the gym.
Not good. I like your pick of BYU plus 17.5 at Texas. Quinn Ewers
Out.
injured, out. Like, let's see what happens there. I also like Houston plus 17.5 on the road at Kansas State. I mean, while Houston
A lot
was
of points.
at home the past 2 weeks, I get that. But still, this is a
Houston can
Houston
score.
team that played Texas to a touchdown in the final 6 minutes of that game and had a huge Hail Mary win over West Virginia the week before. 17.5 is a lot to play a Kansas State team that's not the same as they were.
I like both of those, and I'm also going to play a game this week, and let's bet against Indiana again.
That was my next question.
Right, let's bet against Indiana
32-point underdogs on the road at Penn State. Who's going to be pissed?
Yeah, give me Penn State. Lollipop in the mouth. Dallas Carter, we're rolling.
32. I mean, Indiana's going to struggle to score. They're really going to struggle to score. Another one that's kind of interesting to me, Army -10 at home against a bad UMass team. Army went down to LSU and got shown, got the hand of Saruman put on them. You go down to Mordor, you find out, just ask Auburn from a couple weeks ago. But man, I kind of like Army -10. I want to see if that goes down to -9. The games tonight, though, Liberty, Western Kentucky, over 61.5, right?
Banging it.
Right? I
Got
know
to.
Austin Reed looked awful in the second half last week against Jacksonville State. Awful. But if you watch this man throughout his career, Western Kentucky can really score offensively. Liberty, I don't trust them on defense, especially against the pass. Western Kentucky's top 50 against the run, but Liberty has legitimately got one of the best running offenses in the country with Caden Salter, who was kind of off in the pass game a little bit last week. 61.5. God, this feels like a 45-38 game to me.
Tell you what surprised me a little bit was to see, and this is a Thursday night game, I was surprised to see Georgia Southern favored against Georgia State. They are at home for the battle of the GSUs. You guys know where my allegiances lie. It's Georgia Southern all day, but -1.5 and -120 on the money line. Georgia State's going off at +100. They're a one-loss team this year.
That one makes me nervous.
That one surprised me a little bit.
And I've watched Georgia State. I've watched Georgia Southern. I watched Georgia Southern throw it to Wisconsin. Every white safety that's ever played in college
6
football,
times,
they threw it to that
something
day.
like that.
What do we think about the Oklahoma-Kansas over 66?
That was a lot of points when I looked at it, but
Dane Daniels coming back, possibly. I mean, do we think Kansas stops Oklahoma at all?
I'm probably not touching this game.
66.
I'm just not touching this game. One, if I'm going to bet an over-under and it's at 66, I'm not taking the under. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it because first of all, it's too many points.
Mm-hmm.
The game's probably going to finish close in the 60s. You get in that weird range of the 66.5 number, but I'm taking it over. It's just like a Sun Belt game. you see today. Like the Liberty game, I refuse to take the under in this game. Both these teams love tempo. Oklahoma's defense good, but Jane Daniels, same name, pretty damn good for Kansas.
Jalen, yeah.
Yeah, pretty damn good for Kansas. Oklahoma's defense is good, but there are holes. But if I would have bet this game, give me the over. It's never enough points.
The last one I had is, and I don't know if Riley Leonard.
Man, I was just about to bring that up.
Duke +4 at Louisville.
See, even a hurt Riley Leonard, Louisville blew it against Pitt on the road. So they're chomping at the bit. I think Louisville's coming off a bye. You had the big win over Notre Dame. It's at home. This is another chance for them. I hate the -4 number. I want to see if it comes down, see if I can get it. Maybe it goes to -3, somewhere like that. But I do like Louisville in this game.
To cover the spread or to win?
Well, I don't like the 4. I'm not going to take it the 4. I like them to win. But if I could somehow get this thing at 3 or 2.5, then I'd take it.
I would take Duke with the points if I thought Riley Leonard was going to play.
It says uncertain right now. It's questionable, which means they're not going to tell you.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm not touching Purdue at Nebraska because who the hell knows? It's a mid-off. Even though I do think Nebraska is better than Purdue. But looking, man, that Michigan State-Minnesota game you brought up, 40 points.
Lock in the under.
40 points. This isn't the game where Minnesota just runs through Michigan State, though, right? And scores 35.
Mm-mm.
You don't think so?
Mm-mm.
I don't think Minnesota can ever score 35 points.
They could find a way.
I don't know. Good God, I don't know if they can do it against air.
USC at Cal. USC's 10.5-point favorite.
When I saw it, I liked USC.
Bounce back?
Yeah, bounce back.
God, I kind of like the over in this game.
Why don't we deep dive into Oregon, Utah?
Let's do it.
As it sits here right now, Utah's +7 at home, coming off the big win against SC, over under 49. So you guys really think Oregon's going to roll them?
Well, I like Oregon at -6.5 on the road for a couple reasons. One, I think USC's defense, we know, and Utah just has USC's number. Just something about it. But when I look at this Oregon team, they have to have this. You cannot lose another Pac-12 game, right? In theory, you could and still make the championship, but to do what Oregon wants to do, to have a chance to be able to go to the college football playoff, because I don't think a 2-loss Pac-12 championship gets in, even with a little bit of carnage around them. You can't afford to lose. Bo Nix knows that, right? You're coming off a game against Washington that you had at the end, let slip away. I just don't see Utah being able to have the same amount of offensive success against Oregon, even though it's at home, as they did against USC, because USC is who we thought they were. Right? They're a very average defensive team that has a good offense. We know Utah's stout defensively. Bryson Barnes loved the story, loved the moxie.
Mm-hmm.
They were right to go with him. That was a huge win last week. This is what college football is all about. But I think Oregon's too focused. I think they're too talented. I think this is the game where Oregon scores over 24 points, and that's enough to cover the spread, because I think Michael Penix isn't lining up on that other side at quarterback. They don't have Polk and Udunze and McMillan and the guys that Washington has. I think it's going to be a struggle bus for Utah offensively. I think Oregon finds a way. I think Bo Nix scores a couple touchdowns with his legs in this game, because Utah does a good job in the back end and mixing coverages and maintaining proper leverage and understanding alignments and what they're seeing in front of them. I just think Oregon has to have it, and they're the better team.
You think so too?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Oregon's the most balanced team, in my opinion, in the Pac-12.
Oh, don't say that, Washington fans, because Washington beat the hell out of Oregon. I guess I didn't see that part.
Utah wants to do what? Utah wants to run the ball. They're averaging 190 yards on the ground. That's going to be tough to do against a Dan Lanning coach defense. And what's your other options for Utah? You can lean on the Barnes kid, but they're not bad in the secondary, and I think Bo Nix. This is why you have Bo Nix here to win games like this. You're on the road. It's going to be a hostile crowd. You got Bucky Irvin. You got Franklin at receiver. You got NFL guys all over the field. So I think Oregon's a complete team. And I think if Oregon would have caught Washington on the neutral side, I think it's going to be different. I think it's going to be different in the Pac-12 championship. So I love playing this game up to 7. I think you could play this game up to 2 scores, in my opinion. I like Oregon. I like Oregon a lot in this game.
Just imagine if Cam Rising were playing this game.
I know. I mean, see him next year, though.
A lot different.
Well, but Bo Nix will be gone then. That's what I mean.
that is
Like,
true.
imagine
That
if you were
is
playing
true.
in this game at home with Bo Nix coming to town. But look, he's not. And USC is just it's a great matchup for Utah when they match up against USC. They've proven it the last couple of years. It doesn't matter where they play. It doesn't matter if it's in the conference championship. Utah brings that level of physicality, and they say, hey, we're going to beat up on Southern Cal. And even though the last week was on the road and they had a backup quarterback, they found a way to win the game. Very impressive win. Oregon, I agree with you guys, not the same sort of matchup, right? Oregon can match that physicality, but I still don't like the 7 points. Right now, it's a full touchdown, what I'm seeing with Utah at home. I don't like that so much, but I wouldn't be surprised at all. If
What's the over-under at? You have
49.
Same thing as Georgia, Florida. Here's what one part that we got to make sure that we get the audience to vibe with us on. Jaquindon Jackson was a huge part of what happened last week against USC because it took a lot of pressure off Bryson Barnes.
Yep.
Utah, for one of the rare times this year, had both elements working, had the run and the pass working, which made them the one thing they haven't been this year is unpredictable on offense, right? They had the full menu open on every down. Oregon is giving up 95 yards a game on the ground, right? Which is pretty good. I think they shut down Utah's run and make Bryson Barnes have to beat them. And I do not think, even though the game's at home, that they will be able to Bryson Barnes will be able to line up and throw Utah's way to a win when it comes down to dueling with Bo Nix. Now, Utah on the other side, they're averaging giving up only 78 yards on the ground. But we've seen Bucky Irving and then be able to run the ball successfully against some pretty decent defenses. So they both, you want to hear a crazy stat? Pass yards allowed a game, they both averaged 217.4 on the dot. Yards allowed overall, Oregon's 312, Utah's 295, both right around 300. But Oregon averages 227 rushing yards a game, right? 326 passing yards a game. That's what they get offensively. I just believe that's going to be the difference. I think Oregon will be able to run the ball and have balance. Utah will not be able to.
The best stat that I think reinforces your point is this. The two best defenses up to this point that Utah has faced, UCLA and Oregon State. Against UCLA, that offense put up 7 points. They got another 7 points off the Dante Moore pick six. That game ended 14-7. Against Oregon State, stout defense against a good quarterback with DJ Uiagalelei. Utah lost that game 21-7.
Without a doubt. I mean, you look, and I know Oregon's schedule hasn't just been incredible. And last week against Washington State, it was kind of weird a little bit early with Cam Ward. But I like Oregon to cover in this game. I always go back to the balance of Oregon. Look, and with Kyle Whittingham, you never know, especially with the way they do special teams over there. It's going to be fun to watch. There's some really good matchups. We want to know, what is your best bet of the weekend? Put it down below in the comments. Put it in the chat because we want to know what you think. Even if they're midweek games, got Louisiana Tech tonight too. We're going to get to our bets for today specifically here at the end. But you want to take care of your betting. You want to make sure you're putting yourself in a good position. You want to make sure you put your skin in a good position too. You can only do that with the right product. And that's what Genucel offers. Male, female, doesn't matter. Great Christmas gift, fellas. I'm telling you, trust me on this. The Booster Club sold them out last time. They just launched a new product called the Genucel 3, which works fast on your under eye bags and puffiness. It's skincare for men and women. Genucel 3 is smoother, more luxurious, and uses advanced technology to deliver complex vitamins and minerals directly to your face for instant hydration. Got to keep your face hydrated too, right? It's like Gatorade for your skin. Makes sense? Pretty simple. The new Genucel technology, it keeps you looking young and healthy for years to come. Their Fall Classics package includes a jawline treatment for more firm neck and jawline. Firm it up, right? Be looking good. Get that chiseled chin, Daniel Jones, square face. It also includes Genucel's anti-wrinkle moisturizer and deep firming serum. You will look years, even decades younger. David, that's why I think you're an alien.
That is why they think I'm an alien.
Which is a great compliment.
That's one of the downsides that comes with using Genucel.
The upside so good.
Smooth skin.
That's exactly right. Blaine, your skin's pretty good too.
Yeah, it's all right. It's getting better. It's getting there.
Thanks to Genucel.
It's getting it better.
You know that skin's the largest organ in your body?
I heard that.
No, it's the truth.
I don't know. That's just weird.
That's correct.
That is correct. Thank you.
God.
Survey says, yeah. Thanks, God. God's a woman. So go to Genucel.com/booster for extra discounts on this amazing fall package. Get your skin ready for the cold and dry weather. If you don't look and feel your absolute best, you'll get your money back. No questions asked. That's a hell of a guarantee. So go to GENUCEL.com/booster. That's GENUCEL.com/booster. Booster. All right, Booster Club, we're about to get to calls.
Let's go to Duck Fan Dane with a $5 donation. Let me go ahead and get this out here real quick before. Guys, if a team wins by maybe 2 scores or double, it's not a blowout. It's not what we're saying. We're not saying Oregon's going to blow out Utah. I'm saying you can play it up to 10 points, play it up to 13 points.
I like them to cover.
Yeah, that's basically all we're saying. Let's go to Duck Fan Dane with a $2 donation. Appreciate it, brother. He says Oregon beats Utah 34-17.
Cover.
Go Ducks. Quack, quack, quack.
It's a cover.
All right, let's go to Simple Jack with a $5 donation. My crazy thing about Missouri can beat Georgia without Brock. Missouri played them to 4 points last year, and that offense is rolling.
Look, can they? Yes. I mean, you look at this Missouri team. You know, the one thing that worries you is when you don't have Brock Bowers, that takes a huge passing element out of the game. But Missouri's been so bad against the pass that if those receivers were ever going to go off, it'd probably be against Missouri's secondary. But you take away that big weapon, maybe it lessens the blows. And I feel like Brady Cook, with the balance, speaking of balance that Missouri has, like I said, one of the best things that could have happened in Missouri was winning that game at Kentucky on the road by double digits without Luther Burden going off. Mm-hmm. It shows you that they are not just a one-trick pony, but you got a guy in Brady Cook that you can trust now, right? He's limited in the mistakes. I know he's had a couple in some games, but he's had to keep them in a lot of the games. Schrader at running back. They got depth at running back. The offensive line seems to be creating holes. They've got Weiss Jr. They've got guys on the outside that can help out Luther Burden Jr. Yes, they can. On the road, it's going to be tougher. But if that Missouri team can play that Georgia team that close last year, then you bet your bottom dollar, little orphan Annie, that this Missouri team can run with Georgia on the road.
All right, let's go to John Edward. He says, when everyone is taking Oregon on Crane & Company, we take Utah. Going against the grain. John, we talking bet?
Yeah, let's put some money on it.
You want to put a little money where your mouth is?
Let's put some money on it. So if we're going to take Utah money line, we'll take a money line. We'll take Oregon money line. You take Utah money. Put your money where your mouth is.
All right, let's go to Kirk Thuggins. Of course, Kirk's going to be in here. $5 donation. Morning, gentlemen.
Congrats, dog.
Kirk Cousins is a primetime quarterback. Don't call it a comeback. Skull.
Yeah, well, look, and it was after 4:30 yesterday when he balled out. That's what was the most surprising part.
All right, let's go to Bryant Ward with a $10 donate. I appreciate it, Brian. Stuck behind a train on my way to work in Council Bluffs this morning. All about that. What's y'all's look college football parlay for tonight? Y'all know the spot for FCS games lines.
FCS game lines, you can typically get them.
Yeah, that should
where you normally get your lines. We're going to get to our bets. I've got 2 for tonight, and I'll give you a hint. One of them's an over. Kind of hinted at it earlier. Plus, man, I like La Tech tonight. New Mexico State's beat 3 bad teams in a row. Like, everybody's really high on them. Their value's super duper high right now. I like La Tech. Bachmeier looked good when he came in last week, turned it into a fight, threw for like 200 yards in like 15 minutes. I don't know. I like La Tech at home tonight.
All right, y'all want to get the calls? Please, someone call about this Michigan stuff because y'all just blowing it up in the chat. So someone call for the love of Christ.
Oh, yeah, we need to talk about that. All right, let's get to calls, David.
All right, let's go to Noah in Texas. What's going on, Noah?
Filling that arc.
What's up, fellas?
What up,
man?
This is definitely not Noah.
It's not Noah. Is it Moses?
Why not? That's
Well, who are you?
Side.
Yeah, who is this?
This is Noah, but definitely
Okay.
not Noah's my call sign.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh.
That was the
Very
Pam
clever.
dilemma.
Jake,
Yes.
you and I played each other this week in fantasy, and I have a proposition for you.
Hit me with it.
We set each other's lineups this week with obviously no bye players in, no people on that are out, and they have to play at least 70% of snaps on average.
Okay. I'm down with that.
Okay. And we'll have the lineup set on Thursday. We'll send them in.
That'll work.
And
Thursday night.
Yep.
Before the game.
Exactly. If there are any questionable players and that are inactive come game time, then we have the ability to swap out with whoever.
Gotcha. Deal. Definitely not Noah.
All right. Perfect.
All right. Appreciate it,
bud.
man.
Thanks, man.
That ought to be interesting.
All right. See you,
That
fellas.
will be fun.
It's like we
All
send
right.
DBs to the wide receiver room.
Let's go to Jared in Seattle. Jared, how you doing, man?
Hello?
Jared?
Jared,
What's up,
what's
dog?
up, bud?
Yes, sir. Hey, not much. Just wanted to call. I mean, it's kind of weird for me to call in not during basketball season, but
I know.
a little football. So
I love it.
I thought we were going to call in Trash Gonzaga together to piss your wife off.
see, actually, funny story about that. So, like, both of my wife's parents went to UW, so we have season tickets to football games.
Nice.
So we don't miss a football game ever. So anyway, it was Monday night of last week. And so, like, they released their little hype video of the Oregon game.
Oh, I know.
And so the wife and I were sitting down, like, and we're watching the hype video. And then, like, Jake comes up midway through it. And my wife is just like, this guy cannot give me a break.
Can't escape this guy. I'm like Cedric Mullins.
Oh, man.
Can't escape this guy. I'm everywhere. Turn around.
Yeah, J. Cole Washington saw.
You should have, like, a soundboard that just has different things that I say on it and, like, hide it around your house just, like, in random moments.
No, I definitely should. That way she'll get less mad.
You want to know how I know this? Because my wife's on our soundboard. Yeah, play that.
Yeah,
play this.
Jake, no, you're not winning this one.
Yeah. This is my life.
No. But, yeah, like, I just wanted to clarify one thing and ask a quick question. So, I'm a Mizzou grad, so I just wanted to clarify with our pass defense, it's really because of our safeties. We have a first-team All-SEC cornerback, and another cornerback is going to get drafted. It's just that sometimes there's some mismatches with our safeties that happen, and it becomes a real liability. And I think that Bowers being out can kind of help us with that. I'm actually going to the game down at Athens, so my first time down there. Kind of excited about that. But the question I had was actually more of an Arkansas question. I kind of hate Arkansas with them being our forced SEC rivalry.
Yeah, well, you told me you're a Missouri fan, so I kind of assumed that.
Yeah. But, this is kind of an off-season question, but do you guys think that it might be a good idea for KJ to kind of explore his transfer portal options? I don't think that he's really had a draftable season. So at this point, how long do you keep on trusting this Arkansas staff to put you in the right position? Like, I think a power running quarterback who doesn't really turn the ball over too much might be a valuable option in the portal to kind of position himself a little bit better, and wanted to get your take on it.
Well, I need to look at his eligibility. Does he have another year? I know now with COVID, you get 35 years to play.
He has one more year.
If he has one more
year, if he wants it.
If he has the capability of one more year, if you look at this draft class that's coming out this year, not that next year's isn't going to be good, but it is so heavy. If you were ever going to wait a year and
He's a senior.
it's again
He has the COVID year.
Yeah, if you have you look at eligibility to the NCAA, who the hell knows at this point? Just ask Tez Walker. I don't think that'd be a bad idea at all. I guarantee he's probably thought about it, especially if they move on from Sam Pittman, right? Because again, there's my head coach is gone. I've been through this amount of coordinators now. It's time for me to go somewhere else. I know one place.
God, I know one place that we would welcome him with open arms.
Come here.
What do you need?
Yeah.
What do you need?
How can I help you?
God, KJ, just come on down to War Eagle Town.
Hey.
Sorry.
Yeah, but hey, I do want to say when it comes to Missouri in the secondary, that with the safety problem, you are correct. And most of the time, tight ends are on safeties. So getting Georgia's best player out, who was at tight end, going against your worst part of the secondary, is probably going to help Missouri out a lot. I do love what you guys had at corner. You know, it's like I said before the year, I had an SEC assistant text me saying Missouri may have the sneakiest defense in the country. Hasn't been great against the pass because of the safeties, but that safety tight end matchup, that is one where you duck some big smoke without Brock Bowers. That's a great point, Jared.
Appreciate it, Jared.
David, yeah, definitely. David, I want you to comment on the Michigan revelation.
I'll get to it. I'll get to it. Let's get to Kerry in Chicago here first. Kerry, what's up?
David's just brimming with anger.
Good morning, fellas. I feel like I need to preface this by saying that I believe Hugh Freeze is going to right the ship and Auburn's going to be just fine long term.
Yeah, but
I'm sure you guys have been. Go ahead.
Now I was going to say, but keep going. I'm with you.
Yeah, no, but there is no but.
Okay.
It involves my questions more on the OC side because Jake, I'm sure you're aware. You've read the articles this week that have been coming out of Alabama on the offense and the OC situation, and some writers even calling for Gus Malzahn to come back, and then even somebody saying go get Dabo, which is just pure insanity to me. But I just thought I'd call and get your thoughts, Jake and Blaine.
Yeah.
I know you guys are Auburn guys. Just want to get your thoughts on the OC situation down there. I don't think that you I mean, look, this is my thing. I don't think you can get rid of Philip Montgomery after year one, but of course, anything can happen in the SEC. So just thought I'd call and get your thoughts on the OC situation down there and on the Plains.
Well, it's and number one, thanks for the call. I'll say this. It's hard to call any plays when you have deficient personnel. But in that same token, the coaches are responsible for the players that are on the field. So it's not like you can sit here as a coach and say, oh, well, I'm calling the perfect plays. Our players aren't good enough. Well, get good enough players in there. And that's going to take some time with Hugh Freeze. And they missed in the portal at quarterback, let's be honest. But it's not just at quarterback. On the outside at wide receiver, they don't have enough. I think they've been good enough on the offensive line to be able to do some of the things. But when it comes down to what's going to happen with Philip Montgomery, here's what I think I would do. It's very hard, and we explained this the other day. When you're somebody that has built his reputation and gotten to the top, right, because of your offensive prowess, ability to call plays, scheme them up, adjust, and things like that, it's very hard to relinquish that, right? We saw Gus Malzahn in this battle with all the guys that were brought in, the back and forth there, right? He's calling plays. Now he's not calling plays. He's calling plays. Now he's not calling plays. I think at some point, even if you're a play-calling head coach, even if you're Steve Sarkisian in Texas, you still have to have an offensive coordinator, right? You're not just going to leave that position empty. I think Hugh Freeze should call the plays.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yep,
if I'm going to
totally
go
agree.
down, if I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down because I called the plays and it didn't work. I'm not going to hope that I'm giving away my superpower to somebody else and hope it works out, because I can't sleep at night that way. So you don't have to fire Philip Montgomery. What I say is this. The offensive line coach at Auburn, I think, is doing a great job.
I agree.
think he's doing a good job, and I don't think this is where you fire Philip Montgomery and bring in an offensive line guy just to, like the way Texas does it with Kyle Flood. I think you keep Philip Montgomery, Hugh Freeze takes over the play calling, and you take the time to get the players in there to be able to operate it. But you can't go fast right now. I know Hugh Freeze commented on it. Yeah, we want to do too much. He's not going to tell you what. You don't have the guys on offense. What do you think, that's just going to fix it? Like all of a sudden Auburn's going to be an explosive offense because you're going fast? No, what's going to happen is it may work a couple times, but it's going to not work over time. And you're going to keep that defense who has been carrying you the whole year on the field for 25 to 30 more snaps a game. And you're going to go from losing games 28-21 against teams like Ole Miss to losing 48-28. So I just, the best path to Auburn right now to try and win the game is dribble out the clock on offense and try and keep it a one-score game and then fix it during the offseason.
If anything on offense, you can just slow it down as much as possible.
Well, it's
you limit possessions.
It's the
whoever's
truth.
saying Gus Malzahn needs to come back, get put on a terrorist watch list.
Yeah.
All right. He's not coming back. He doesn't need to step foot on Auburn's campus ever again. Ever again.
Do you think Hugh takes over play calling like this weekend?
He needs to.
Who knows? I'm not in there. Right? I talked to him, but I'm not in there. What we're not going to know unless Hugh just comes out and says it, which I doubt. But if it was me, what would I do? I would take over the play calling. I'd be like, listen, I'm the head. This is what I do. You know, it's not like nobody else does it. You know, you see it across the country. I mean, Lincoln does it. Sark does it. I mean, you know, you find coaches all over the country that do it. So that's what I would do.
Appreciate it, Kerry.
Totally agree, guys.
Great call, brother.
Thanks, Kerry. Appreciate it, buddy.
All right, let's go to, what is this, Pokey Texan in Texas? I think that's what it is.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Poke Texas?
What's up, guys?
How we doing?
What's up?
Good morning.
Morning.
All right. Hey, well, before I got a couple short statements to make before I get into soft sports.
Love it.
Congratulations, Rangers. Now go get the first championship in your team.
I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for them. Let's do it.
And before the Aggies are done going 7-5, go ahead and call Mike Elko and find out what it's going to cost.
Well, I heard A&M pays pretty well.
Close. But
I heard
there's one guy walking around right now. Y'all need to call.
You think Urban would? I know for a fact Texas A&M would be fine with hiring Urban Meyer.
Why wouldn't they?
Would be fine with hiring.
Why would Urban not take it?
I mean,
I think he might take it.
What? Pokey Texas? I don't think A&M fans would be paid. At some point, you know, maybe you do need to do something to become a hit rock band. Maybe you're tired of being a 7-5 rock band. Maybe you meet at that intersection down there in Louisiana at midnight. I don't know.
Mississippi.
Just throwing that out there. I got my coordinates wrong.
All right. So, David, I got a couple of different things on this soft sports topic that's bothering me.
Hit me.
David, anything softer this weekend than MSU having Hauser trot over to the sideline to get the calls?
Is that a question?
Against Michigan. Yeah, that's a question. Anything softer than them sending Hauser trotting back and forth to the sideline to get the play calls?
No, look, man, that's what.
Poking fun.
49-0, man. Like, that's just how you think.
No, I know.
That's why I laughed at, like, oh, we have to steal signs to beat Rutgers? No, it's like somebody said, I saw on social media, somebody was like, oh, they must have missed the tackle Donovan Edwards signal last year.
Yeah.
I guess maybe it was some kind of weird virtue signal. I wasn't giving Michigan grief. I was giving MSU.
No,
I agree with you.
Say leaning into it. I'd lean into it. I mean,
got nothing else.
The hope.
I mean, would you though? Like,
yes.
Would you actually say, like, that's the reason?
No, Blaine would do
Look, here's the thing. So tomorrow's Wednesday, so I'm going to be putting something together on this subject. I don't want to, like, use all my fodder up today and say the exact same things. But what I'll say on this Michigan, and see what the narrative is, they want you to say this Michigan sign-stealing thing, right? Like, that's what all the headlines want to come out on these articles, even though somehow in the bylaws there's actually nothing against sign-stealing unless you use these electronic devices. But you know, when it comes to Michigan and Jim Harbaugh and the NCAA, we're talking about an organization here that allowed a man, Leah Thomas, to hoist a trophy in women's swimming, but now all of a sudden wants to talk to us about competitive fairness when it comes to Jim Harbaugh, a guy who is outspoken and advocates publicly for college athletes to be compensated, which takes away from the NCAA. I mean, I told you guys last week, it is absolutely possible that Jim Harbaugh has come up with some elaborate scheme to, like, get a competitive advantage. And if that's the case, then he should be punished. But what is the punishment for that? And why is he constantly being singled out from the NCAA when everyone goes and scouts these sort of things? Like this, like if I hired a private consultant to go and, hey, these are my competitors, go see what they're charging for prices at Target or Walmart or whatever my competitors are, and that private consultant goes and breaks into one of those places, am I held responsible for that? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of questions when it comes to this thing.
Well, I think Leah Thomas, I mean, obviously Leah Thomas is wrong, but I think two things can be wrong at once.
Sure.
Right? So, I mean, everyone steals signs, all right? What happened? Does it seem like the NCAA is singling out Michigan? For sure. But you stole signs, and it looks like you got caught.
But did you, though? That's the thing.
If they have video evidence.
That's another part of this. The NCAA has said nothing. Tim Brando talked about this. You'll hear this later this week. That speaks to the cowardice of this organization. They're whispering over to Yahoo Sports and to ESPN, hey, we don't want to say that Michigan did anything wrong. Y'all go and run with the headlines that Michigan did such and such or that stole the signs. And I'll tell you another thing. What I've seen mostly for the past 3 or 4 days is college football fans coming out and buying into the media propaganda here. Again, NCAA has said nothing. Mostly Buckeyes fans, Spartans fans, people that really just hate Michigan and want to see. Well,
you know, that's how it rolls.
That's how it rolls. But what I'll say to them is if you can't stand up against the NCAA when they're wrong, then who's going to stand up for your team when the NCAA comes for you? That's mostly what I want to say.
If I'm a Michigan fan, though, like part of me is let me use an example to bring it back home. Auburn paid Cam Newton for sure. Paid him for sure. Probably $180,000. And Auburn goes and wins the national championship in 2010, goes undefeated, wins the Heisman Trophy. All Alabama fans, Georgia fans, Florida fans, Auburn's dirty, low down, cheaters, whatever. You know what? You know, if they're not hating, what did Spencer Rattler say? If they're not hating on you, you must not be popping. You must not, and I get it.
If that's where it stays, that's fine. But that sounds like that's not where it went. Like the NCAA actually wants to he got suspended for 3 games.
Cam Newton again.
Like Gene Chizik didn't start the next year suspended. Like that's my point.
It's an ongoing investigation. They're still investigating.
It's still ongoing.
They're still investigating. But guess what? They're hating on you. Well, what did O'Boy say on the interview? And I'm not even a Michigan fan, right? Michigan's come up now. People say, oh, we must have been the sign stealing why Harbaugh's winning. No, you want to know why Harbaugh started winning? Because Urban Meyer's
not in Columbus.
That's why. Follow the bouncing ball.
But if you're the type of college football fan, even if you're at a place that hates Michigan and you're truly deep down, you're buying into this. Like you're buying into like Jim Harbaugh has created some elaborate scheme and that's all of a sudden why he's winning. You sound like the type of person to me that thinks that Tom Brady won 7 Super Bowls because he liked the ball a little bit deflated.
Well, yeah.
Like that's what you sound like that type of person. Even though he came out in the second half and went 11 for 11.
You got caught. Like, that can happen, right? 30 people go in to rob a CVS somewhere in California. One of them gets caught. Well, everybody else is robbing, and only one of them got caught.
It's to the point now.
But that doesn't mean everybody's not doing it.
We live in a society where everyone just wants to be right before evidence actually comes out. So let's just see if there's actual evidence of this happening.
Right,
and then we can deliberate on what the punishment should be.
But it was so funny in the articles that got put out, I saw Stallions with a big red circle around him on the sidelines next to Jim Harbaugh.
There he is.
And I just thought, Jim Harbaugh's staff is so elite that the guys can be on the sidelines at Michigan games and simultaneously be at opponents' games and video on them. Like that's
science.
That's the Michigan difference.
Yeah.
I guess,
Pokey, we appreciate it, buddy.
Hey, one thing, right quick.
Go ahead.
I don't care if Abreu plunked Garcia and Garver on purpose, but the umpires and the MLB brass are soft, and it started with the fact that Abreu had already thrown 5 strikes to that Evan Carter kid before Garcia ever got up in Game 5.
Yeah.
And Altuve is the greatest postseason leadoff guy in history.
The little wizard, the MLB version of the MLS's little wizard.
Great call.
Pokey, appreciate it, buddy.
Great call, Poke.
All right, Dane is in the Pacific Northwest. I think he wants to kind of be a little incognito, not get too specific.
Well, I mean, I know close to where you're at.
Dane,
you're in the
what's up?
northwest part of the Pacific.
Yes, I live in Washington.
Walk out in your backyard. What's up?
What's your social?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's going a little too far.
Yeah.
So I called last week and I said that Utah would beat USC by 3. I was 1 point off.
Yeah, you were daggone close, Dane.
I think that this game is going to be a blowout. Minimum 17 points. They might just run away with it. Oregon, yeah.
I don't think that's crazy.
I think that. Well, if you look at USC, they ran the ball. Their running backs ran the ball at almost 10 yards a clip. They just stopped running.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so I think with a... What was that?
Go ahead, but no, you got it. Go ahead.
I was saying, but with Oregon and a better offensive line and a more balanced team, I think they're going to get lots of big runs.
Well, I think Bo Nix hurts him with his legs. I think Bo Nix is going to hurt.
It's just so hard to blow Utah out at home. It's just so hard. I think you could play this up to 13, 14 points, but Utah's going to get up for this game for sure. It's just, you get ladder the second half. I don't think Utah has the athletes to keep up with Oregon.
I mean, I thought they got it up for USC. Like, do we really think that the only way I see Utah winning this game is they do the holding the ball and running the ball all the time.
Sit on the ball.
I think what Oregon's going to do is stack the box, have a linebacker spy, and force Bryson Barnes to throw, which he hasn't really proven he can do.
Why would you not do that? Like that. That's why I made the point about Jaquinda Jackson went off, which opened it up for Bryson Barnes. Take away his right hand, make him dribble and score with his left.
Yeah, I guess I just don't trust Utah's offense. They went against the 86th ranked defense and the 104th ranked defense the last 2 weeks with Bryson Barnes. I just don't trust that they can score points.
Yeah. Dane, I'm with you. We'll see if you can be right 2 weeks in a row. Give me a score. They're going to win by how much? Oregon's going to win by how much?
My official score I sent was 34-17, but I think it's going to be 41-10.
41-10, the ass beating of a lifetime. Dane from the Pacific Northwest, dunking on them out there at Right Seckles.
Have a good day, guys.
Appreciate it, buddy. Dane. All right, let's go to Ben quickly in Missouri. Ben, we have 30 seconds.
MIV.
Yes.
We absolutely own the University of South Carolina.
Man, what I tell you, it's got to be. Doesn't just the air smell sweeter out in Missouri right now? Like the animals are happier, like the colors are more colorful. Even the grits, a little bit grittier, but in a good way.
Oh yeah, I had some comfort food last night at a Midwestern cafe, but it might as well have been a Southern cafe. You know,
God,
Missouri
it sounds so good.
It wants to be I can't decide whether we're a Midwestern or Southern state, but I'm not going to do the whole betting thing against Georgia because I don't really know if betting is going to affect that game down there. Of course, Brock Bowers being out definitely will, but like Jared said, you know, hopefully they'll be at least able to keep it close like they did last year. I'm not even expecting us to win. I really hope we do, but I want to keep it close.
Look, with the team you got this year, I mean, who the hell knows, especially with them out not having Brock Bowers. I can just see Ben sitting in a Midwestern cafe, drinking a cup of coffee at night, just staring out the window, just thinking about Drinkwitz in the future and Luther Burden Jr. Man, it must be nice.
Oh, it's great.
What was the best thing you ate last night? What was the best thing they had?
Mashed potatoes for sure.
Was there garlic in them?
Some solid apps in the Midwest.
Oh, yeah. It had a little bit of garlic, put a little bit of butter on them, and some brown gravy on the top.
Golly, Ben.
Throw a dead animal on.
Y'all are hot right now in Missouri. I'm not going to lie. You guys are hot.
I love it. I'm rooting for the boys.
Yeah, you guys are hot little potatoes.
Look, I love drinking the boys. I love it. Come on. We're big drink fans here.
Put the kaleidoscopes on. Let's look at the pretty colors. I could smell the sounds.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It's going to be great. And I wanted to make sure, I think I was looking back to the episodes, but I couldn't find it. I think as a history lesson for Creighton Company, I think they started calling Blaine Flamin' Dragon because he got super turned up about like Vanderbilt having expectations one time.
That may be it. So we need to find the origin story.
I think that's why you guys started doing Flaming Dragon Friday, because he just got super like turned up about Vanderbilt, and I think that's how it started.
Could the origin of Flaming Dragon Friday be?
Look, there might be a doc coming out. We don't know.
30 for 30?
Flaming Dragon and expectations. 30 for 30.
Exactly.
It might be in
Flaming expectations.
And couple that with Hemi Butler, dude. It's great.
Hemi Butler. Well, we got Hemi Brando.
Where are you?
On the show tomorrow. So we're excited about that.
Great call.
God, Ben. Midwest.
Midwest boys for life, dude.
And just look at the spread.
I love it. And Will, who was on the line, call in on Friday, brother.
Yes.
Give your speech for Georgia.
Pongo, yes. All right, I'm heading over to the bet board. Let's get back to football.
The board of bets.
The board of bets. And as you know, our Booster Club bets are brought to you by DraftKings. All right, download that DraftKings Sportsbook app now. I'll wait. And use code BOOSTER, because new customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on NFL football. It's only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code BOOSTER, BOOSTER. Don't be lame. Crown is yours. Here's what I got. Tonight, Liberty, Western Kentucky. How would I not take this over? Got to, which means it'll probably be 13-10. That's how it's gone in the midweek for me. Been pretty good on the weekends. But give me Liberty, Western Kentucky over 61.5. Come on, Austin Reed. Come on. You've been playing for like 35 years. Figure it out. Love what Jamie Chadwell does on offense, by the way. La Tech at home. A lot of people gas up New Mexico State. Public loves New Mexico State. Love them.
Give
me La Tech. Give me Smoke Harris. Out there never ducking it.
Stinks.
Money line minus 135.
How about D-backs, Phillies, Nerfy, no runs in the first inning, minus 110, and Liberty, I'll take a -5, minus 110.
Just score.
Give me Liberty minus 4.5. It's going off a minus 115. I want this quarterback at the University of Auburn next year, or Auburn University, or whatever. Give me New Mexico State money line, dog bet plus 115. Let's go, baby. Big day. Big day for the boys.
All right, Ace, he's going to take the Diamondbacks money line plus 145 and the Canadians
money
plus 1.5 on the puck line. All right.
Let's go to Louis Davis.
What do I like that
That's for you, Cone. So against the rules to send people to games of future opponents, period. You sound soft trying to justify it. Just man up about it.
How many times do I have to say the phrase, if Michigan broke the rules, they should be punished? Like, at some point, if I just can't say the phrase over and over and over again enough. Like I said that there's a distinction between me and our buddy Steve Dace, who says if Michigan broke the rules, then he wants to give Jim Harbaugh a pat on the back because he said, hey, finally, Jim Harbaugh is doing what it takes to win. I said that there's a distinction between that. I can't just keep saying the same phrases over and over and over again because y'all are annoying as hell.
No, you know what's funny to me? It's like it's the stupidest rule. Like I can't.
Like if y'all really bought into the propaganda of the NCAA after all that we've seen over the past couple decades with Reggie Bush, when I've stood up for all of y'all's programs against the NCAA, now all of a sudden Jim Harbaugh is having some success, and y'all want to take that opportunity to just point out, oh, this is a great time to like bring down Michigan. Y'all are an absolute joke, and you really don't know what you're talking about.
Just go win it. My thing is like you can't. So like you're right. We don't have television. Or film that we trade with each other that we could just watch the wide and find y'all signals. Like, it's just a stupid rule. And everybody does it, right? It's like the one person gets caught stealing cable in the neighborhood, you know, when everybody else is doing it. It just, I don't know, it's kind of hypocritical to me.
I was going to Jose Penido with a $5 donation. Morning, boys. Deep sigh. I love you guys. Help me pick up the pieces of my shattered heart.
Who is it?
I think he might be an Astros fan, maybe. Tonight will be the night that I will fall for you.
Look, you need to just get in a room, turn the lights off, put on some My Chemical Romance, just sit there and think about it.
You talking about the Astros that had the most elaborate sign stealing? The most elaborate sign stealing allegations we've ever seen.
He's catching strays.
weren't stripped of the World
Look,
Series.
I love all the
Spygate Patriots weren't stripped.
Here's the thing. It's hard for me to feel bad for Astros fans, not because of just the cheating thing, but y'all have won a lot. A lot. What? Yeah. How many ALCSs? Like 7 in a row? And then y'all win the World Series too? It's a great situation.
All right, let's go to Joseph Lavelle, $5 donation.
Bring it. Just get it out. Get it to him.
Before y'all try to defend Michigan, does it not seem a little sketchy that they were dominant against... It's a big B1G.
The Big Ten teams.
The Big Ten teams, but gave up almost 1,000 yards to UGA and TCU.
See, that I don't... Again, Georgia's, I think, one of the teams that was talking about them future scouting or whatever. I don't have that. You know, that's allegedly. That Georgia team was just better than Michigan. Like, that had nothing to do... You could have told Michigan where the play was going, and I still don't think they would have stopped that Georgia team. I think they overlooked TCU. That's what I think happened. But again, like, do we really believe that Michigan needs to steal signs to beat Rutgers?
Wasn't the knock on Jim Harbaugh that he always beat the teams he was supposed to beat and couldn't beat his biggest rivals?
Doesn't fit the
narrative.
narrative.
And then all of a sudden, Urban Meyer's not there anymore. And he beats him. The only way he can even get to the conference championship, finally beating Ohio, because it's Ryan Day there now. And then he gets there and then makes the college football playoff. And still loses when it matters most. He has like a 1-7.
So what happens if James Franklin beats Ohio State and Michigan next year? He's stealing signs now?
Like, it's just, like, you're really going to put stock in I can't even say the NCAA. I can't even say that because they haven't even said anything. Yeah. Y'all are talking about news articles, man.
Talking about Pete Thamel.
News articles.
They're just putting, the NCAA's just putting, like, hey, Michigan's stealing signs, like, in a bottle and putting it in the ocean. And just letting it, they're just like, letting currents.
I really want to be a salesman and just, like, use y'all as the leads for, like, I want to sell a bridge or something. I want to try and go for it all.
You ought to sell some beachfront property in Kansas.
That, too.
Let's go to Freeway Jared, $2 donation. Zoo at Ben in Missouri. I really don't know exactly what that means. But Zoo at Ben in Missouri. If you're Ben in Missouri, you know exactly
what that means. Yeah, he just called in. Yeah.
All right, let's get to the poll. And hey, all the ish you talked in the chat, if you're too scared to call in, shut up. All right? If you can't come here and defend your case, shut up. All right, let's get to the poll. What covers in the cocktail party? Georgia minus 14.5 or Florida plus 14.5?
Oh, this depends. Who stole whose signs?
They said Georgia.
What do you think?
Close, 55?
I'm going to say Florida, 52%.
Georgia minus 14.5, 57%.
Ah!
Florida plus 14.5.
Getting after Michigan in there, huh? I can just feel it.
Yeah, if you're too scared to call in, I just don't believe you.
Well, some people don't have time to call in. It's just
if you have enough time to go through the chat, say 30 comments, I'm pretty sure you have enough time.
Well, it's like it's the only people that are going to defend Michigan is probably Michigan. That's probably the only person. It's just like anything. Everybody's going to
Which is a shame because I came on here and defended Mason Smith.
That doesn't matter, though, David. That doesn't matter.
And Reggie Bush.
Yeah. That's some BS. You want to talk about some serious BS. But we appreciate you guys. Let us know in the comments, too. Are you pro-Michigan or are you anti-Michigan? I can guarantee you what about 95% of you probably are. We appreciate you guys, good, bad, or indifferent. Tomorrow, got a great show with Tim Brando, deep diving into college football as well. Make sure you check us out. Make sure you buy some of that merch. Hit up all our sponsors. And check out, obviously, the new Bent Key kids entertainment that the Daily Wire's helped push out. It's great stuff. I'm telling you, you don't have to worry about it being nefarious or anything like that. We appreciate y'all. We're headed to Vegas for Power Slap 5 to watch grown men hit each other in the face, and we've got some great content. Talk about a 5-finger discount, but the worst way. And like the chances of most people backing Michigan in this, we're going. Can I catch it again? Adversity ball, still caught it. Gone.